from the pregame studios in beautiful, sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Ted Savransky. Teddy covers along with Dave Malinsky, the professor, and we're here to break down Saturday night ESPN college football. USC flying all the way across the country, laying 17 to Boston College, total 52.5. Dave, let's get it started.
Laying 17 now was higher earlier, which seems a little surprising. Southern Cal beats Stanford, goes squarely into the national championship hunt. Boston College plays Pittsburgh in front of the ESPN cameras, looks lousy, yet here comes the money to Boston College. What's going on, Teddy?
You know what's going on, Dave. It's all about the spot for USC. The betting markets are looking at the Trojans saying, they're coming off this big win, big physical game against Stanford. They're a little bit gassed. Now they got to fly all the way across the country, and they're playing a team that maybe they're not that interested in beating by margin. And I think that's the primary reason why we've seen the BC money so far, because there's certainly not a whole lot of case you can make for betting BC as being an even team with USC.
So it's the old letdown notion.
Yeah, the old letdown notion.
Good to talk about early in the season so people don't get confused by the concept as things unfold. Let's take you back to your college years. Well, actually, that's probably a little bit of a sore subject because Michigan still hasn't scored in, 11 days now?
They're due for a score. I bet you they get in the end zone against Miami, That's all I'm saying.
Okay, when you're in college, never drunk the night before a final, right?
Not that I recall. But, of course, if I was drunk the night before a final, I probably wouldn't remember it, right?
Okay. Well, occasionally drunk, though, during the year.
Sure, occasionally, yes.
Here's what happens with these letdowns is so many times people think, oh, this team's going to be flat on Saturday. No, they come to play on Saturday. You give a college kid a week, he's going to be mentally refreshed, physically refreshed. It's during the week when that letdown takes place. It's when you are drunk in class in early October, you miss a point that shows up on the final. That's where you get into trouble. And that's what we learned from following a lot of good college football coaches. The letdown happens when it impacts your practices and you don't prepare properly for the upcoming opponent. Well, if you're going to face Boston College, what do you got to do? You got to prepare for a power ground game, a team that wants to run between the tackles. Gee, Southern Cal just saw that, didn't they?
They sure did, and they did a pretty good job of stopping that this past week against Stanford. That's how they won the game, and especially when Stanford got, inside the 32-yard line or so, that USC defense took over. But, here's a Boston College team. Tyler Murphy is pretty clear right now. As a runner, he's okay. As a passer, what do we say? He's no Chase Reddick, From a skill position talent standpoint. And again, USC pretty well dominated BC last year. 28-0 in the fourth quarter before a late Boston College drive. And that 28-0 was fully reflected in the box score numbers. It was a very one-sided ball game in favor of a USC team that last year wasn't as good as the USC team is this year. And against a Boston College team, they had Andre Williams last year at the running back position. He's obviously playing on Sundays right now. And of course, Alex Amidon at the wide receiver position, which means that their quarterback, their running back, their wide receiver, all gone. Where does BC get points in this ballgame against this defense?
And that's the interesting thing. People are betting on BC because it's all anti-USC. But we talk about the matchup, okay? There's not a tactical issue of preparing for BC. It's going to be a lot of what you saw last week. In terms of it being a flat spot, ESPN cameras, prime time on a Saturday night. What have Pac-12 coaches complained about forever? We don't get the attention from the media we deserve. Our games start too late. Showcase game for Sarkisian and the Trojans. And who do the Trojans play next week? Each other in practice. So all these elements that people are trying to say, well, USC let down, USC let down, USC let down, it doesn't seem to apply. Could the markets possibly be steering the wrong way a little bit?
Markets steer the wrong way, not all the time, but certainly often enough that we don't need to be looking at a line move and saying, oh, this is sharp money, I better not go the other way. Cody Kessler, really impressive through his first two games this season. He was really impressive last year. Still hasn't thrown a pick, and that's against Stanford's defense. And, of course, USC was able to move the football with the exception of that one stretch where Stanford really shut them down midway through the ballgame. They moved it early, they moved it late. The USC didn't punt against Fresno. And, of course, when we're talking about a guy like Buck Allen, who, if you can run against Stanford.
He was good against Stanford.
This is a BC defense that gave up, 303 yards to Pitt last week. Gets a little bit tougher this time around, don't you think?
So there might be an opportunity to do something we usually don't get a chance to do in a game like this.
Let's make it official, Dave. It's that time. Let's make it official.
So many times when we're fading money, we're betting on bad teams plus big spreads, and we're just hoping that the line has moved enough to take care of how bad that team is. Rarely do the markets open up an opportunity to play the far better team at the shorter price. Those letdown notions, they don't apply to this setting for USC. It's not a tactical adjustment they have to make for Boston College. They will be up for the game prime time in front of the ESPN cameras. They are absolutely in the hunt for the national championship, so there's no need to let up. But what you're going to find more than anything else on the field, speed. Take the starting 22 for each side, put them in a 40-yard dash against each other. BC wins at quarterback, Murphy being a little quicker than Kessler. I'm not sure they win anywhere else. USC speed breaks this game wide open, much like they did last year in the Coliseum, where they were backing off late. With a championship in sight, they don't back off this time.
That's USC minus the 17. That's your play for the Trojans-Eagles matchup on Saturday night. We'll be back next time right here at the pregame.com studios.